In this video, guys, I want to talk about how I recharge alkaline batteries. Now, you might be wondering why bother recharging alkaline batteries? And there's a couple of reasons. Number one, you're throwing away fewer batteries. The manufacturers expect you to use it and throw it away. And of course, millions upon millions of batteries are being thrown away every year, ending up in landfills, so that's probably not real great. Number two is it's just kind of fun to be doing something that the manufacturer isn't expecting you to be able to do. And to me, that's really the fun part, and that's probably why I do this. But over the years, I've discovered pitfalls with trying to recharge alkaline batteries. And I want to go through and share with you my experience, just so you don't make some of the same mistakes that I've made over the years. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get a cheap alkaline battery charger, and this is just a cheap charger I got for like 15 bucks off of eBay years ago. And the idea is all of these kind of cheapy chargers, they basically charge alkalines at a very, very low charge rate. And the idea is that if you recharge an alkaline battery very, very slowly and you don't let it heat up, it will be able to be recharged without leaking. Now, my problem with all of these chargers is that they basically all charge too quickly. When I first started using this, eventually they would either leak in the charger, the battery would leak inside this charger, or it would leak inside the device I put it in. So what I did is I developed a plan to move much more slowly when recharging alkalines. And I've noticed something, guys, over the years. I've noticed that cheaper batteries tend to charge better and don't leak as much as more expensive brands. So for example, these cheap Sunbeams and these cheap Thunderbolts from Harbor Freight, they are both good candidates to try to recharge. And I don't know why that is really scientifically. One theory I've heard on the internet, just doing some research for you guys, is that basically the higher end manufacturers, including Duracell and Energizer, they really don't want you to be recharging these things. So they make the battery in such a way that it doesn't recharge well, whereas the cheaper batteries don't have that type of technology in it. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I've certainly gotten better results with recharging cheaper batteries as opposed to more expensive batteries. But again, the key is go low and slow. Low voltage over a long period of time. Another key is to stop the charging process at about 1.45 volts. So here's a Thunderbolt Magnum, and when I recharge them, by the way, guys, I mark them with like take a Sharpie marker and just mark it. And so what I do is I go ahead and charge it, and right now I'm going to use the Harbor Freight cheapy Centec meter because it actually works really well. And you can see on the Thunderbolt here, I'm getting 1.43 volts, and then using that battery tester on the Harbor Freight, which I really like. It's a great feature. You can see that I'm getting 3.8 milliamps. You don't really want to try to go that much higher. About 1.45 and about 3.9 milliamps to 4 milliamps on that tester. It's about as high as I want to go when I recharge my alkalines. And that actually works really well for the correct type of device. And this gets me to my next point. You do not want to use these recharged alkaline batteries in expensive electronics. You want to use them in cheaper electronics. So for example, this weather station thing here we have, this was originally $40, but I got it on sale at Home Depot for 12 bucks. And that's a great candidate. Also, this clock got for $6 off of Amazon. And the thing is that you can see, I'll just take the back off here. You can see in this one, I have a recharged Thunderbolt Edge, and you can see it's recharged because I put a Sharpie marker right through the E right there. And so that denotes that I've recharged this one time. And it's great because this will last me probably a couple of years at least. This clock will run for a couple of years, and then I could probably recharge that Thunderbolt Edge again using my charger here. So you want to be careful about which devices you use. And so what I want to do is I want to do a demonstration for you guys. These sunbeams are pretty much exhausted. So let's go ahead and take a reading. And we can see we're getting 2.8 milliamps on the tester, which is not very much. And we're getting 1.05 volts. So you can see that that's a good candidate to be recharged. And how about this one? This is 1.06. So these are almost exactly the same. So what I would do is I would go ahead and put them in the charger. I'll just kind of show you guys how I do it. Put them in the charger. What I do specifically is I hook this up to a timer, one of these really cheap timers. And you can see I set it for 2 hours on, 2 hours off, 2 hours on, and then it goes, you know, another 18 hours before the cycle repeats. And that way you're adding power to the batteries very, very slowly. And it usually takes about 5 days, 6 days. And that may seem like a long time, and it is a long time, but it doesn't really matter because you're just going to hook this up and let it run, you know, in the corner of your room or something. So it doesn't really matter how long it takes. And what I'll do for you guys is we'll come back and I'll come back in a few days and we'll take a reading on this again. And I'll just, through the magic of filmmaking, I will just give you guys kind of an update on how these sunbeams are doing, as an example. Now, one thing I wanted to do is show you some examples of items that are not good candidates to be recharged with cheap batteries. For example, our thermostat is a Vision Pro 8000 touchscreen. Inside of here, if you pull the panel off, are 4 AA batteries. I use only premium brand new batteries for this because I do not want cheapy rechargeables to leak inside this unit that controls our HVAC system. So not a good candidate. Our Xbox controller uses the rechargeable Thunderbolts that you get at Harbor Freight. These work excellent. And because this is a very high drain device, you really want something made for high drain. And these work really, really well. I would not use these recharged alkalines in like an Xbox controller. I mean, these brand new are like 50, 60 bucks. So not a good candidate. So be smart, be wise. Don't have your good piece of electronics ruined by monkeying around with this. And again, I'll check back with you guys in a few days and we'll see how these things charged up. All right, guys, it's been a few days now. And what I did is I've charged the sunbeams using with the timer, going 2 hours on, 2 hours off, 2 hours on. And then I did another 2 hours somewhere, you know, in that 18-hour span before the cycle repeated itself. So I did it a little bit more aggressively than I normally do, but I think it still worked fine. No leaking. So let's go ahead and see how we did in terms of voltage. Let's see. So voltage 1.48. I don't know if I can get the polarity correct. 1.48 for this one and 1.48 for this one. So yeah, that's, you know, 1.45, 1.48. That's usually where I like to stop. Let's go ahead and use the milliamps tester where it puts a load on the batteries to see where they're at milliamp wise. And this one does 4.0 and 4.0. So yeah, these are now ready for use. Now, one thing I did for you guys is I brought out this pack of Thunderbolt Edge alkalines. I charged these about a year ago. So the question is, if these were 1.45 volts a year ago, where are they at right now? So let's go ahead and test it. 1.39 and 1.39. So you can see that they've basically lost about 0.6 over a year. So that's pretty good. I mean, if I were going to use these again, and I probably will pretty sometime soon, what I would do is probably put these on the charger again for maybe an hour or so. And that would probably bring them back to about 1.45 or so. But they haven't leaked, and they have pretty good power, and they haven't degraded too much. So I wanted to pass that along as well. One other thing is that these Harbor Freight lights you get for free. You know, I have these in my cars. I probably have 2 or 3 in each vehicle. And these are great candidates too to use the cheap rechargeable alkaline batteries. Also, kids' cheap walkie-talkies. You know, the kids use these things and they leave them on. They turn them on and then they leave them on and they run down the batteries. And these are great candidates for the alkaline rechargeables as well. I don't like to use expensive rechargeables, you know, whether they be Eneloops or even the good ones you get at Harbor Freight, the Thunderbolt rechargeables. I don't like using those in these kids' toys because these toys get lost and, you know, sometimes people throw them away if they don't think they work. And so then your good batteries are going to get thrown away as well. So these are also very good candidates for alkaline rechargeables. So anyway, guys, I wanted to share my experience with you. Overall, it's been a pretty good experience for me, as long as you manage your expectations. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. And I hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Take care.